Hi guys, this is Juno and welcome back to another Summoners War video. The RTA season is finally over and I hope everybody was able to reach their new goal. If you guys did not, there's always the next season. Although the balance patch was disappointing, it seems like the next season's meta is going to be pretty similar to the meta that we just experienced. So that's kind of sad to hear and it's going to be really stressful because I went through the same process. It was really stressful. But I hope that this video kind of assist you guys on what units you guys could build to somehow squeeze some wins to climb as much as you can for the next season. But anyways, I did end C3. Thankfully, I was able to park at 1750, which was pretty safe for C3. I think the cutoff was 1744, and I was able to park here a day before the season ended. So I ended rank 19, sorry, not 19, rank 9,870. And you see that I have a win rate of 54%, and I played a total of 313 games. And I will tell you guys that I think I played 100 games the last week. I played the most the last week, and it was pretty stressful. I wanted to do a video like Sean B because Sean B reached G1, which was pretty awesome. I think that was great, but his rune quality was pretty nice. And I'm surprised how he said his rune quality is the worst in the Guardian players. But I want to show you guys my rune quality. Maybe it's a easier comparisons to the people that are watching, because obviously most of the people are not G1 quality. They're mostly in the Conqueror quality or the Fighter quality. Hope this video helps, and if you guys are interested, please stay tuned. Let's get into the video. So we're just gonna go from the top. My box is pretty full. I think I did pick 40 units. I'm not gonna say that I used all of them like to the fullest. I probably used a few, 1 or 2 times, or some units I didn't even touch at all. But I will talk to most of them. So let's go in order. First, the Vigor. Vigor I did pick out a lot because there was a lot of people that picked out Jogun first pick, and depending on their follow-up picks, it looks like some of them did not bring enough damage, where the Jogan Scroll Trap didn't do much. So in that case, I brought in a Vigor, which is usually a damage dealer plus a second healer. So if our team survives the entire round of damages, or 2 rounds of damages, because usually they bring in more control, if I was able to survive that, the Vigor with the heals plus my other healer, which usually goes through most of the time because they just want to get rid of the damage dealers, the single heal that comes in is enough to turn the tide of the game, because they simply do not have more damage to output. So with that, I was able to get some wins, but that is that. It was not on a crit damage build because I did not have the rune quality to get it on crit damage to get all the tanky stats, but it's on Violent Will, and I think the speed was okay. I wish it was faster, but Vigor was definitely not my first priority of units to rune, so this is what he was on. Second was Lulu and Friends. We just call him Lulu, and I did pick this unit out a lot. He's on Violent Will, but he's only on 230 speed, and I personally think going through this meta, going through this RTA season, that is too slow. I want like 20 more speed on him, and I think he'll do a lot more, but obviously that's no joke. I think that one of the reasons why I had to sacrifice some speed was because I wanted the 100 res, and I did not have a slot 6 resistance rune that was able to compensate for that. So I had to try to get resistance from all these runes and sacrifice some speed from it, which capped me to 230 speed. But thankfully, recently I did get a Violent Resistance rune that rolled 20 speed, and if I just get an HP gem here that I could replace this attack flat with, I think it will be a very good rune that could go on the Lulu, so I could even make him faster. But we'll have to see. I still didn't get that gem. Well, I do have a legend gem, but I'm not going to use it there. But anyways, I think I do have an upgrade, so I hope that I can make him faster for the next season. But again, Lulu, I think everybody knows that he or she, I don't know, is simply OP. Some people even said that this unit needs a nerf, and I somewhat agree, I somewhat don't, but mostly on the agree side, because I think the cooldowns are just way too short, and if he gets a proc, it's game changing. But it was a needed proc on my side for this meta, for this season, so I had to use it, and it worked out sometimes. Not most of the times, but sometimes. Because 100 res, sometimes resistance is a joke. Okay, the third is the Rigel, and I built him in the middle of the season when I did still see Oki a lot. I started seeing Oki less and less when I was climbing at the end of the season. I mostly saw Art Masters and Ryus. But in the middle seasons when there was Oki a lot, I did use Rigel a lot. And right now, he is on Violent Will, which I think is much, much more effective than Vampire Will. I liked him. He did great. He did a lot of damage because he does that skill too that does defense break plus freeze if you're lucky. Freeze barely lands, but the defense break is awesome, and with the violent proc after the defense break, you can follow up with that defense break and almost kill a unit if you have a little more damage. I think I lacked a little damage. I think I want like 1,000, so plus 200 more, but I also want him to be tanky because he doesn't have like damage mitigation like the Grego or he still get defense broken. So if he gets defense broken, then it's kind of over. Tetra. So Tetra I picked out a lot. You guys probably can't imagine how many times I picked her. I just picked her out in this, Jogan meta so many times. And again, it's the same thought process as the Vigor. If the Jogan team does not have enough damage and I survive the round of turns that they all take, they output all their damage, and if I survive, if the Tetra takes a turn, I heal 50% of the damage they have dealt, to one of the units, right? But if she procs once more, then she heals again, which also kind of turns the tide of the game. She is on Violent Endure. She has 80% resistance, which I think is a little low, but it did work a lot of times, especially against the Ganymede, where obviously you can't resist the pushback. The reset, but you could resist the pushback. So that really helped because again, if she takes a turn, the heal comes into play, and that's what I really needed most of the time. But I picked her a lot, and I actually was able to win with her a lot as well. I know a lot of people say Tetra is just a Nephthys counter, but to me, she was my primary healer for most of my games. And I know some people will disagree. Molly is better, yes, but I don't have a Molly. If you don't have a Molly, you have to use something else that's like a Molly. So that was me for Tetra. Bolverk, I did pick out sometimes. It was like a force ban to people that brought in multiple buffs, so on and so forth. There were still times I lost with him, and I think he's a little low on defense. He is a little low on defense, but he was on Endure, Will, Shield. I didn't put him on Revenge, but he worked. He worked. Nothing special. I think you guys all know when to bring out Bolverk. If they bring out a lot of buffs, then if you bring him out, force ban for them. Musa, I did not use. I think I pulled him out once and it got banned, but that was it. He's on Swift Will. That's it. You guys all know what Usa does. Not as effective these days, again, because of the Art Masters with the strip, with the resets. Just AoE strip is so strong, guys, where Will is almost irrelevant these days. So Usa didn't get picked most of the time. Okay, Bastet. I did pick up Bastet, and it was times when people were trying to cleave. So there was only 2 units that was on Swift for me, like fast Swift. Well, you can't say this is a fast Swift because it's on Musa, right? Base speed is too crazy. But there's 2 that was on fast Swift. Bastet's one. She's not on my fastest Swift set. It was another unit called I'll show you later. And she's on Swift Will. She's on Swift Will. You can see that flat. These are not even grinded. And it worked. Miho is coming out a lot less these days, so giving her a high crit rate wasn't an issue anymore. So yeah, again, the lack of fast strippers, so my Swift set went to Bastet. Cian, I think I barely or never brought out Cian in this season. I just didn't see the opportunity, plus I didn't think that he will work well without skill ups. So because this gives him 20% more damage, which is really important in RTA, and I just didn't have that. So I didn't bring him out, but I did give him like a broken build, will, focus, endure, because I did want high resistance because people sometimes they bring out, the Chung Pong or the Oki, try to reset him, and the resistance maybe could have came into play and, block that. Okay, I did build Suiki in the middle of the season again. However, he's not fully scaled up, and I did play with him once, and he wasn't doing a lot of damage. I think the game really needs to go a long way for Suiki to do anything really relevant. So I brought him once or twice, but I think I lost twice when I pulled him out. So it didn't work for me. He was on Violent Will. Okay, so this is a verd. My verd changed, and this is not the verd that I used during my run the last week for the last season. Currently, he's on Double Revenge Will, but before he was on Triple Revenge, much slower. It was plus 108 speed, but he had 93% resistance. However, at the end of the day, he was just getting scroll trapped too many times. He barely resisted, even with the 93 resistance. So I was like, okay, forget this. I'm gonna put him on Will, just in case if I have to play one more game. But I didn't need to, so I didn't get to pull him out. But I think if Jogan is still the way he is, my verd will be in this build much faster and also on Will. Because again, if I'm going to rely on RNG, I know Triple Revenge is better, but Double Revenge still I could rely on some RNG. I did pick him a lot against Chung Pong, Savannahs, which was still pretty common. So that's that. So Meo Wing was also ruined in the middle of the season. He's on Violent Revenge. Yeah, this was Double Revenge Will. He's on Violent Revenge. And again, it was a counter unit for the Rigel or the Light Monkey, which came out pretty often to my surprise. So it was a counter to that, and it worked pretty well, but I did not use him once the last week, so I'll probably have no replays for that. But he did work well against them. Some people also brought out Hathor, and I think I did bring out Mei Hao Wei in those cases as well. Antares, another very popular pick that I made while I played. He has a lot of resistance. From that, you can see that he's not on Despair Revenge, he's on Despair Endure. I did build him Despair Revenge in the early middle season, and I transitioned into Endure to give him more resistance just in case I do go against the Jogen. And most of the time I did go against the Jogen, which I still brought out the Antares most of the time. And I think he did resist sometimes, which kind of changed the game. But this is Antares. Nothing crazy, pretty common across everybody else's Antares. Vanessa. Vanessa was a pick that I made when, again, people were trying to cleave. It was my speed lead. She's on Violent Will. Nothing crazy. I only brought her out against fast cleaves. Leica. I brought Leica out against Leo users. If they brought out a Leo, then I countered it with Leica. Vampire Will. Nothing crazy. A little slow. Just because, again, if there was a Leo. But yeah. Rika, I didn't get to use much because I pulled her late and I Devil Mont her late. She is fully skilled up now other than her skill 1. But I did get the harmful effect rate. I think that's the important thing. And then her other skill 2 and skill 3 are fully skilled up. I got her on Despair Will on 100% resistance. So I think if I find the right situation, I think I can bring her out. She's kind of squishy though, so I really wish I could get 2,000 more HP or 3,000 more HP to get the 30k HP. But I think she's at a good state. I just need to make her slightly faster and slightly tankier. Okay, Cocky. This is something that's been changed multiple times as the season went on. I did pick Cocky out a lot, and there were many times he was my first pick actually because Cocky was so toxic. But he was usually on a slot 2 slot 2 attack rune, but I switched that out and put a slot 2 speed rune so I could get this insane speed. Well, not that insane, but he's on Violent Will, and I got the plus 1,000 defense, plus 1,200 attack, and over 10k HP, which I thought was enough, and most of the time, he worked really well. I won my last game with him to secure my C3, which was awesome. Violent Will, guys, okay? Violent Will. Speed, attack, defense. Oki, I used Oki a lot in the beginning of the season with Sierra. However, as the season was coming to an end, I saw less and less opportunity to use the Oki. And I think for him to fit in the current meta and current team that I'm using, I think he needs to be on Swift and not on Violent. So I might make that change. I mean, there just wasn't any scenarios that I could use him at his current state because I was simply getting outsped and he was getting controlled or reset or killed off really quick. So I think I'll make him Swift because I think his skill 2, his reset is actually a lot more impactful if I get it on the right unit on the first turn. So I'm gonna try that, and then then I could use my Sierra more, which is a speed lead. So let's hope that comes into play. But Oki, not that much use, but he's good. Okay, Jameer I again brought out once to counter cleave. So I had I have 2 speed leads. 24 speed leads and a 33 speed lead that I used, and most of the time if I bring out 2 or if they take out either one, then I bring out the other one. So Jameer was there for another speed lead, and it's awesome that this can't get reset, right? So it kind of counters Changpeng as well if he takes a turn. I think I built him on high resistance before, higher than this, but I switched around runes where now he only has 60%, but he's on Violent Will, guys, okay? Wind Panda, I did not bring out. I just don't think he was doing enough. His stats were mediocre. He's too slow. So I definitely need to improve on this guy. But he was on Violent Endure, and he was only plus 91 speed, which is way too slow. Not even a Leo counter if I make him slower. So I didn't use him at all. Sierra, a very popular pick that I used in the beginning. When she lands her bomb, she could change the game. But again, if they outspeed you and control your Sierra can't do anything. The autos do some damage, right? Like 5k if it crits all 3 times, and she is on 100 crit rate, so she did that. But my thought process was that if she survives and if she doesn't get reset, maybe she has a chance to land her bomb, and sometimes that did happen. But again, as the season came to an end, I used less and less of her, and started to move on to other units that could be more impactful, even though the unit had a will. So Sierra, if they had will, there isn't much that she could do, so she wasn't picked out much later on. However, in the beginning, I did play with her a lot, and she was a lot of fun. Tanky, some attack, a lot of defense, and the speed was there too. So I'm actually happy with her build. I don't know if I'm gonna change it, so this is her. Savannah, I did ruin her in the end of the season, maybe if I could get a chance to use her, but again, I didn't have a fast stripper, so I don't think I had many opportunities to even bring her out, and the leftover runes limited me from getting the crit rate that I wanted to get. So I just was like, never mind, not going to use her. I didn't use her. Wind Monkey King, one of my most popular picks. In the end of the season, when I started losing a lot, I noticed that I stopped picking this guy, and I was like, okay, but let's start picking this guy out again. And man, oh man, this guy, if he does work, he's awesome. If he procs after his defense break, a lot of damage. If he gets a revenge stun, it could change the game. He's just awesome. Make him tanky, make him faster. I mean, I have a lot of ways to improve this guy. If I take some violent runes off from some of the units that I decided not to use, for example, the Oki, the Sierra, some other units I forgot. But if I took some of these great violent runes that I sacrificed on those units and put it on the Wind Monkey, he would have been much better. However, I didn't want to make those changes in the middle end of the season, so I just used him as he is, and he still worked really well. Obviously, he's not like a for sure win just by using him, but I was able to get a lot of wins with him. Carbine. So Carbine, I switched out a lot. I started with Vampire Will, then changed to Double Range Will, and then I changed back to Vampire Will. I did use him once at the end, and he did work well. He's on Vampire Will right now. He has less HP. He's on a different build than the other Vampire Will that I started with, but he definitely does counter view well. So usually if they have a view, it restrains them, it forces them not to use skill 3 or skill 2, the strip, which was already awesome. However, some rules are still built on despair, and bear stuns are pretty annoying because it still lands on wind pretty well. So when that happens, it's there, you just take the loss and move on from there. But most of the rules are on Swift, so just assume that and bring out the carbine. Diana, another popular pick that I made. Mine's not on crit damage, mine's on crit rate, and it still does a lot of damage. I think I have some artifact that does additional damage by speed, if I'm correct. Maybe not. Oh yeah, speed, there you go. That's why I made her fast, plus 131 speed, and she did a lot. I was happy. Usually when they picked Diana, I just picked the Antares so I don't have to deal with it, but if they do pick out the Antares, I know what they're not going to ban. They're not gonna ban the Diana, so either I have to ban the Antares or I have to play along with it. It's either it's an RNG game at that point. I win if they don't proc, and I lose if they do proc a lot. This is my Leo. I changed him. This wasn't his build. He was on Vampire Nemesis, but now he's on Violent Nemesis, and I did not get to use him at the last day or the last week. Before that, he was always on Vampire Nemesis, but now I'm gonna see how he does on Violent. So I'm gonna try him like this, but I think I need to make some changes. I want like 3k more HP, I want some more attack, I want more defense, and I definitely want more crit rate. I love where the resistance is at, because having high resistance on Leo is awesome. But yeah. Okay, this is my other fast Swift set that I put on, is on the Escher, 320 speed. And usually if I bring out the Escher against cleave comps that are coming into me, the first turn cleave comps, it was like a force ban, because they know that Escher's base speed is super fast, so they always spammed out the Escher, and yeah. But Escher, when he did go through, he worked really well. Still, with the speed buff, usually my teams are on the 130, 150 range, and it was usually enough for me to take the next turn. Shren. I used Shren a lot. However, again, like Lulu and Tetra, I think they need to be around the plus 150, 160 speed range for them to be really, really effective. I saw Taki's Shren, and his is on plus 160 speed with almost the same stats that I have, so crazy rune quality. But I think that's where it has to be for them to actually take more turns to bring in more heals into your team. But I did use her. Her damage is kind of mediocre in the beginning, but as the game goes on, it gets greater and greater. And if she does survive till the end with the Tetra, then the heals are actually pretty nice, where the opponent eventually loses because they usually don't bring in sustain. And finally, my friend was on double Nemesis broken because I did not have a will set with the resistance slot 6. So it was on double Nemesis resistance. It worked sometimes against the Ryu counters, however, sometimes it didn't. I think I'm gonna go back to Violent Will Fran. I think I just could utilize her more in that sense, but it did work sometimes, and it sometimes did not. And I think she has too much HP, to be honest. I need to find more runes. But yeah, guys, that was it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If there's any questions, please put a comment below. And if you did enjoy it, please leave a like and smash that like button so this video could be exposed to more viewers out there. Again, I really hope you guys got a new rank. I really hope you guys got this skin, because look at this. Look at it on Cocky. I really like it on Cocky. It looks like there's that, you know, I don't know how to say it in English. In Korean, it's called dokebibur, right? Because the Cocky, the Onimushas are dokebis in a sense. So it looks pretty cool on them. I love it. And I also put it on my 2 LD5s because I thought it looked pretty well on them as well. I'm going to show it to you guys right now. Right, so I think it looks pretty good on the Pioneer, and also really, really well on the Alexandra. But anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed it. And if there's anything else you guys would like me to do on Summoners War, please put a comment below. And I hope to see you guys next time. Bye.